Can't ask for much better weather here in November. Temperatures close to 55 degrees by the time we get to halftime today. And one of the big stories, the Eagles for the first time since 2010 without Michael Vick after the concussion last week against the Cowboys. And for more on that, here's Laura.
Tom, the image most of us remember from last week was the dazed look in Michael Vick's eyes when he left the game. And Eagles trainer Rick Burkholder says he still doesn't look right. While the headaches have subsided, Michael still can't drive a car because of his balance issues. He sleeps all day. He can't sleep at night. He's lethargic, nauseous, and can't sit in meetings yet because he can't concentrate. The phrase Burkholder kept repeating, he just isn't right. The next step is an exercise challenge the Eagles hope to administer tomorrow, but Tom, that is not until all of the symptoms have disappeared.
Laura, thank you very much. And meanwhile, the embattled head coach of these Philadelphia Eagles, Andy Reid, in his 14th year for the first time in his 13 seasons, and now his 14th. They've lost 5 consecutive games. Meanwhile, for Mike Shanahan in his third year trying to rebuild the Redskins, 14 wins against 27 losses. And his team comes in with a losing streak as well, having lost 3 straight.
Yeah, 3-6 ain't pretty, but 3-7 is even worse. So they realize the importance of the game. Both these coaches have labeled it as the proverbial must-win. It's like a playoff game, one and done. 3-7 is a long way from making the playoffs.
Eagles have won the toss, selected to receive. And we are underway. This is Bryce Brown from the 2-yard line. And he is stopped at the 21. There is a penalty flag down right around the 30-yard line. Terry McCauley, our referee today.
There's no foul for an illegal block in the back. First down.
So now Nick Foles, 23 years old, out of Austin, Texas. See his numbers at the University of Arizona. Drafted in the 3rd round by the Eagles. Big kid, big arm, and tough. Those were the 3 traits that caught the eye of the Eagles. And he's going to throw it on first down under heavy pressure. And just throws it away, and right from the get-go, something, Brian, you talked about a moment ago. Pressure this time coming off the edge from D'Angelo Hall. The big story for the Eagles, they're continuously shuffling offensive line.
Well, you need the program to figure out who's playing what. Jake Scott just signed this week. Now he's starting, and Dennis Kelly, the rookie, starting at right tackle. This is a revamped group that's going to have a lot of pressure on it today.
Dennis Kelly had started the last 3 weeks at right guard for the #1 pick a year ago, Danny Watkins, who now misses his 4th straight game. And this is LaShawn McCoy, and that did not fool anybody. Redskins 28th overall in defense, but a big addition to the secondary today as they welcome back Brandon Merriweather.
That is a big pickup. Landon Fletcher is obviously their anchor, the longtime veteran. Wilson and Hall are going to be challenged by these athletic receivers, and I know they're excited about having Brandon Merriweather back in the lineup.
So a 3rd down and 8. Jim Haslett's defense trying for an early 3 and out. Intercepted by D'Angelo Hall. Inside the 20. Down to the 10. And dropped at the 9-yard line. Foles had an eye on his tight end, Brent Selleck. The ball was tipped into the air, and on the opening possession, Foles turns it over.
Really just a great defensive play. You can see it up here. Selleck just able to get the hand in. That's a gift from above for D'Angelo Hall. This is too bad because this is going to go on Nick Foles' stat sheet in terms of an interception. It was a great defensive play.
22-yard return. That was London Fletcher getting a hand on that football and perhaps knocking it into the air. So now the Redskins 1st and goal at the 9. Robert Griffin III going to hand it off to Alfred Morris, his fellow rookie, who's had an outstanding year, and he's tripped up down to the 5-yard line. Morris closing in on 800 rushing yards already.
And this is an offense, Alfred Morris, you've already mentioned, Santana Moss, and as we said earlier, Pierre Garceau coming back into the lineup. We're going to see him in a limited capacity today. He is still not 100% healthy, but you know RG3 loves having him back in the lineup. He's their #1 guy.
Well, his very first game as a Redskin, he had 4 catches, 109 yards, was actually injured on an 88-yard reception that turned into a touchdown. Play fake, wide open Young, and that's a touchdown for the Redskins.
We talked about turnovers, Tom, and you can see right here so many things go on with this offense. You're going to see Young, of all the athletes on this offense, the fullback's the one you're probably going to overlook, and they certainly did there with Young being wide open in the flat.
High 4 back with a point after, so we're not even 2 minutes into this one. Foles, an interception made by D'Angelo Hall, then a 6-yard touchdown scoring throw. Griffin and the Redskins celebrate a 7-0 lead. One of the many great venues, sites here in the nation's capital, the Lincoln Memorial. And Robert Griffin III and the Redskins cash in after the interception. And out to a 7-0 lead. Brown from the goal line. And he's tripped up at the 23.
Yeah, we got to go back to that interception. You can see here London Fletcher really doesn't get his hand on the ball, but he influences just enough. Brent Selleck just flat dropping it, not only dropping it, but bouncing up into the air. Tough for a young rookie quarterback, Nick Foles, to have what should have been a completion turn into an interception and set up a score the other way.
On the 22 Philadelphia turnovers this year, opponents have now scored 68 points. If you're wondering, the league average for points off of turnovers is 45. The Foles right back into the hands of Selleck. He hangs on this time, and it's up to the 29-yard line. That'll be a gain of 5 on first down.
We've already seen in the first couple plays Nick Foles move around in the pocket. This is a reshuffled offensive line. A lot of criticisms as to what they're doing offensively, but you saw it in the opening drive last week against the Dallas Cowboys. They ran it, they screened it, they trapped it, they did 3 steps, they did 5 steps, they did 8 minutes. They're doing everything they can to try to help this offensive line hold up better.
Well, they were showing blitz. That was London Fletcher who came charging up to the line of scrimmage and may have forced some early movement.
Neutral zone infraction. Defense, number 59. 5-yard penalty. First down.
So it is enough for a first down.
You know, last week we talked about it, the interceptions that happened. This turned into a pick 6, same type of thing. The ball bounces up. Orlando Scandrick gets the interception for a touchdown. You can see here Foles, the big deal was he threw 3 other interceptions for touchdowns. None of them counted because there were penalties that called it back, but they still got turned over.
Sean McCoy, and it's blown dead before it ever got started. Early movement.
Offense, number 64. 5-yard penalty.
That's Jake Scott.
First down.
Right now, quickly a game break. We go to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
Well, much like in your game, Matt Ryan was picked off on the opening drive, and Arizona turned quickly into points. The Rod Stevens Howling 3-yard touchdown run, and early on, 7-0. Cardinals have a lead at Georgeville. Tom and Bryant.
Kurt, thank you. Arizona having lost 5 in a row after that 4-0 start, including that mauling of these Eagles in the desert. You and I were there week 3. Bryce Brown escapes 1 tackle and not bad yardage after what could have been a big loss.
It's a nice job by the defense right from the get-go, disrupting the play, making this inside trap bounce to the outside, but actually pretty good job on the outside. You break a tackle. right here, it's always going to make a difference. The ability to tackle in the open field had a chance for a big loss, but D'Angelo Hall couldn't wrap it up.
2nd down and 10. Into the hands of Jackson, and he is across the 41-yard line. Deshaun Jackson, the 7th most receptions in the NFC, and he is not one guy you can talk about dropping the football. He does not have a drop all year.
And watch the athleticism and the speed. There's a lot of traffic in here. There's a lot of bodies. Just that little bit of burst and acceleration turns what could have been a negative play into a fairly positive play.
They called a gain of 8, so 3rd down and 2. Last 3rd down. It was a tip pass for the interception. The fullback crossing midfield, and Stanley Havili making just his 5th reception of the season, and that one good enough for a 1st down for the Eagles.
That's an improvement off last week where they were 1 and 10. Foles looking down the field, then just deciding to drop it off. The problem last week, even though they were 1 and 10, you can say, well, maybe there were a lot of 3rd and longs. Half the time they were in 3rd and less than 4 or 5. They weren't converting on 3rd and shorts like they had here. It's a good start to be able to get that first one.
From the Washington 49, the inside pitch to LaShawn McCoy, and that'll be a gain of close to 4. McCoy, the Harrisburg, Pennsylvania native, 6th in the NFC with his 705 rushing yards, trying for a 3rd consecutive 1,000-yard rushing season. Many of the critics, as we have an injured Redskin down on the field, that's London Fletcher. So while they tend to him, we will take a break. Redskins leading 7-0. London Fletcher starting his 234th consecutive game here today. Longest active streak in the NFL, and appears to be all right, maybe suffering from some kind of an illness or dehydration. 2nd down throw caught by the backup tight end Clay Harbor. That might be a loss of about a half yard, so it brings up another 3rd down for Foles and the Eagles, trailing 7-0.
You can see right here the pressure inside. They're trying to create one-on-one matchups and some confusion for this revamped, reshuffled offensive line of the Philadelphia Eagles.
3rd and 8. Riley Cooper. And he has a 1st down and plenty more after that to the Washington 29-yard line. Cooper getting a start after the injury to the hamstring a week ago to Jason Avant.
Nice check. You can see all the pressure in here. So he wanted to get outside of it quickly. Looked like he checked to Riley Cooper on the outside on one of those quick screens to the outside. We've already seen one to Deshaun Jackson, now one to Riley Cooper. The biggest of the receivers, not normally someone you would go to with this type of play, but it punched a hole in the defense that the Redskins threw at the rookie Nick Foles.
A nice bounce back drive so far for the Eagles. Foles in trouble and has a wide open Bryce Brown. Penalty flag is down, and he's inside the 20 to the 19, but again all the way back at the 43, which generally means holding.
Holding. Offense number 67. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That was Reggie Kelly, who we mentioned the last 3 weeks has been starting at the right guard position, now over at right tackle. He's out of Purdue, and he's big man. 6'8", 321 pounds.
And the world on the outside, on the edge of tackle is a whole lot different than in there at guard. You're exposed on the open end. The things you can get away with at guard aren't going to happen out at the right tackle position.
Early movement again on the right side of the Eagles line.
Offense number 64. 5-yard penalty.
And again, Jake Scott was just signed this week. He's made 121 starts in the NFL. Originally with Indianapolis, and Peyton Manning moved on to Tennessee over the last 4 years. Did not have a job this year until he was signed this week.
But it was familiarity with Howard Mudd, the offensive line coach of the Philadelphia Eagles. Obviously a comfort zone in signing Scott and starting him all within the same week.
Now first down and 25, and this is McCoy. And he's to the 32-yard line. That'll be a gain of 4. You're just joining us. First possession of the game, a tipped ball into the air. Intercepted by D'Angelo Hall. The Redskins got a 6-yard touchdown pass. But now Philadelphia on the move, although consecutive penalties have backed them up on this drive. Try to set up the screen to LaShawn McCoy, and it was tipped by Perry Riley coming off the edge.
This is a heck of a play by Riley. I want you to watch. He's coming free, thinks, boy, I'm going to give me a sack, and all of a sudden he recognizes it's a screen, just holds his big paw up there and knocks it down. The back did an excellent job, McCoy did, in terms of baiting him to the outside, then just slipping out. That might have gone for some yardage, if not for the athletic play by Riley.
3rd and 21. Bowles throws down the middle of the field, and it is intercepted by Brandon Merriweather. In his first game of the year as a Redskin, takes it away. 2 possessions, 2 interceptions. Martin Luther King Memorial opened in October of 2011. Been a rough start for Nick Foles, and it's his first NFL start. Made his debut a week ago in relief of the injured Michael Vick, who, by the way, is not with the Eagles. I would imagine watching the game back in Philadelphia today. Garcon, his first touch. And that is a gain of 6 on first down for the Redskins.
Let's go back and look at what led to the interception. You're going to see pressure in the middle, up the middle. Defensive coordinator Jim Haslett told us that he wanted to bring pressure down the middle of the offensive line, get Nick Foles, who isn't the best athlete in the world, to have to move around, maybe panic a little bit with pressure in his face, and that's exactly what happened to him, throwing up a jump ball there.
Fake it to Morris, rolling right is Griffin, looking down the field, still on his feet. Look at this. Can you believe this? And very close to a first down. Appears to be about a yard short. He is something to watch even on a 2-yard gain.
Talk about subtle athleticism. This guy is smooth as can be. Obviously, keeping plays alive like this is something that just totally breaks down a defense. Nice job of the offensive line and the backs trying to adapt to it. Now he gets outside around the edge, and he has learned his lesson. I'm going to get out of bounds as quickly as I can anytime I get outside the numbers.
Of course, he had that concussion earlier this season, back at the start of October against the Atlanta Falcons. Redskins 5 of 7 on 3rd and 1. They pitch it to Alfred Morris, and that didn't fool the Eagles defensively. Nice play made by the rookie Michael Kendricks. And the Redskins fail to cash in on a 3rd and 1. They'll punt.
Yeah, that was not an option in the sense that there was no option there. It was just a pitch to the outside, just a one-man pitch, hoping to outflank the defense. And like you said, didn't fool anybody.
Another rookie, Damaris Johnson, waiting back inside his own 10-yard line on the form where a Philadelphia Eagle punter, Sav Raka, puts a foot on it. End over end, flag is down. And a late fair catch by Johnson at the 9-yard line, but we wait on the penalty.
illegal formation, offense. Number 56 was in the backfield. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Well, they're going to make him kick this thing again, hopefully for a bigger return. The special teams of the Philadelphia Eagles, and specifically Bobby April, have been under a lot of criticism, particularly in the Philadelphia area. Bobby April is one of the longtime special teams coaches in this league. Very creative, very energetic. But you also have to have the people to make things happen. They haven't had much in the return game, and they've been returned on a lot. So obviously he's feeling the heat, wants to give his unit another opportunity here, see if they can generate a return.
But now Rocca puts a little more leg into this one, and it's fielded at the 9, so it'll be positive yardage for the Eagles. Not a lot, but positive yardage nonetheless. He's up to the 17-yard line. Foles trying to get it right in possession number 3. Washington 7, the Eagles nothing. Laura Oakman brings us up to date. They're calling it a left ankle injury for London Fletcher. His return questionable for the Redskins. So the Eagles start this drive from their own 16-yard line. And on first down, they hand it to McCoy, and he picks up a yard. Coming up this December, the UFC returns to Fox. His lightweight champion Benson Henderson put his title on the line against top contender Nate Diaz. A full night of 4 epic bouts. UFC on Fox 5 is Saturday, December 8th at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fox. They called a gain of 2, 2nd down and 8. Had an eye on Johnson, and it's incomplete. So 3rd down and 8 coming up for the Eagles, and we check in once more in Los Angeles with Kurt Menefee.
Cleveland's Brandon Whedon hadn't thrown a touchdown pass in 4 weeks. He makes up for it against the Cowboys today. 10-yard score to Benjamin Watson, and the Browns have the lead at Dallas, 7-0 in the first quarter. Tommy Bryan.
That's a huge game for Dallas. They have the easiest schedule down the stretch among all the teams in the NFC East. Got the win against these Eagles in Philadelphia last weekend. And now Foles on 3rd and 8. Had good protection, steps up, throws, and finds Riley Cooper. A first down to the 40. Cooper, of course, the primary target of Tim Tebow. They won a national championship together under Urban Meyer at the University of Florida.
Nice job with the protection. I want you to watch the way Nick Foles slowly climbs the pocket. This shows a little bit of patience on his part. A lot of rookies would have just pulled that down, but he left his vision downfield, gets his shoulders in good position, showed a little bit of maturity on the young rookie's part.
They'll throw it on first down. And he finds Harbor. It's jarred loose, and it's not a catch. Was a big hit delivered by Merriweather. Playing in his first game for the Redskins. That knee is finally healed.
Well-placed ball for Harbor. And boy, the timing of that is so careful. You have the proverbial defenseless receiver, but it was excellently timed hit. Shoulder to shoulder, did not go to the helmet. Nice play.
And Harbor still feeling the sting of that pop from Merriweather. 2nd and 10. McCoy bounces it to the outside. Flag down. And Ledoux Williams comes up to put a hit on McCoy.
Offense number 65.
It's holding on King Dunlap, who's moved back over to left tackle here today.
Anytime it's a draw play like that, you can see right there, it's just all jersey, and then he jumps to the outside. King Dunlap thought it was going to come down inside. He's lucky he didn't get 2 flags. I don't think they could have called both, but first he got a hold of the jersey, and then once he bounced outside, got another hold.
It's been a tough time for this line. You go all the way back to Jason Peters, their all-pro left tackle, getting hurt. Their center, Jason Kelsey. 2 weeks ago is Todd Harriman's, their right tackle. Set up the screen, and this could be big yardage for McCoy. He's all the way up to midfield, and that is good enough for a first down on a screen to LaShawn McCoy.
Excellent play call by Marty Morningwig. We talked about and have already seen the effects of pressure coming up the middle. You got all sorts of folks coming in here. So what I'm going to do is let him come free and then drop the ball off. Nobody runs as many screens or as well as the Philadelphia Eagles. Marty Morningwig doing everything he can to take a little pressure off his quarterback. You want to bring a bunch of folks inside? Fine, I'm going to hit those quick screens and those more traditional screens on the outside.
Now the I formation, they give it to Brown, and he loses his footing, but there was heavy traffic in front of him. Frederick Golson, the first Redskin there.
You know, when London Fletcher went out, he is the play caller for the defense. They had to change the helmet in Lorenzo Alexander. He now has to make the calls in the interior of the defense. That's a big change. That green dot at the top says he has the communicator from the sideline. That also changes his role a little bit. They've been bringing him on the outside with Ryan Kerrigan. They can get Fletcher back in. That will make a big difference for him.
Fletcher has come out of the Redskins locker room, and again they set up the screen, and again it's LaShawn McCoy, and again it's big yardage. All the way down to the 25-yard line. That'll be a gain of 24 yards, and the Eagles are in business.
Well, that second screen's like that second ace up your sleeve. You expect it the one time, but not the second time. Here again, you see pressure with just a fake quick screen to the outside and then bring it out the other way. Nice block down the field, creating the big play. Nice job on who we just talked about, Lorenzo Alexander, being caught on the ground. Again, nobody screens better than the Philadelphia Eagles.
Once more, McCoy, and McCoy will catch his breath. And Brown in the backfield. And timeout. So the Eagles knocking on the door, trailing 7-0. Three-time Pro Bowler London Fletcher back in there in his 15th year out of tiny John Carroll. That's in northern Ohio. He grew up just outside of Cleveland. First down for the Eagles. And it should be the final play of this opening quarter. And a good pickup by McCoy inside the 20-yard line. So all in all, Nick Foles already with a pair of interceptions in the first quarter of his first start in the NFL. But he's only trailing 7-0. The NFL on Fox will continue in a moment.
You can see up here with the 8 plays, this is the balance they're trying to get. 3 rushes, 5 passes. 2 of those were screens. So they're traps or draw type of plays like a rush. So you can see the balance they're trying to establish with the rookie Nick Foles.
Wide receiver screen this time, and that did not fool the Redskins. Read beautifully, originally by Kerrigan. D'Angelo Hall right behind him. That'll be a loss and a third down upcoming.
And the plan of the Philadelphia Eagles is clear cut. How many times have we seen him get the ball out of his hands very quickly with these wide screens? It's the same as a toss or a pitch. So again, even though it's a pass, you could put it in the run category. Now here again, a 3rd and 8. This is the down and distance. You'd hate to have a young rookie quarterback in, particularly in the red zone, where turnovers in the red zone have been a major problem for the Philadelphia Eagles.
And that was with Michael Vick at quarterback. Good protection this time. Foles looking around. And incomplete. Not sure what happened right there, Coach. He still had plenty of time to try and find an open receiver, and Selleck wasn't even turned around. So the field goal unit set out, led by Alex Henry.
And Deshaun Jackson right now has got that look on his face like, did you not see me? I was in the back. Well, no, you didn't, Deshaun. You know, when you got Ryan Kerrigan and a whole bunch of folks breathing down your neck, sometimes it's hard to even know your own name, let alone what's going on down the field.
41-yard try. Henry has now made 15 consecutive field goal attempts. He's having a good year. Eagles on the board, trailing early in the second quarter, 7-3. Welcome you back to Washington, D.C. 45 seconds into the second quarter, and the Redskins with a 7-3 lead over the Eagles. Henry puts a right foot on it and hammers that one all the way through the back of the end zone, so it'll be Robert Griffin III and company. Fox College football Friday. It'll be the 25th. Washington Huskies taking on Washington State. And then Saturday, Baylor will take on 23rd ranked Texas Tech. 13th ranked Stanford against number 17 UCLA. Both those schools huge wins yesterday. Coverage begins Friday 3 Eastern and then Saturday 2 Eastern.
Boy, did not Baylor and Stanford throw the BCS into a scramble now. It's going to get exciting.
Notre Dame and Brian Kelly will be the brand new number 1, I'm sure, later tonight when the new BCS standings are released. Play clock down to 1, and the option, they pitch it to Morris. Second time they've run that play, and both times Philadelphia has defended it perfectly. Of course, Philadelphia's already had a change in their defensive coordinator. It was Juan Castillo. Now it's a former Redskin, Todd Bowles.
Pressure on the inside by Jenkins with pressure on the outside by Babbitt and Cole. And D'Amico Ryans, he's the key to holding this front seven together. This style of play puts a lot of pressure on the linebackers. Todd Bowles, the new defensive coordinator, trying to change not so much the structure of the defense, but the mentality. He just wants them to get used to how and when he's going to make his calls.
False start. Offense number 78. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Penalty on Lichtensteiger. Let's check in with Kurt Menefee once more in Los Angeles.
Another divisional matchup, this one featuring the Packers and the Lions. Aaron Rodgers hooking up with Jermichael Finley, 20 yards on the score. Only Finley's second touchdown of the season and makes it 7-3. Tom and Brian, if they can get that guy going, that Packer offense could be even scarier.
That is a huge game for Green Bay if the Packers can win it. And they've won 4 in a row against their division rivals, the Lions. Bears, of course, will be on the road in San Francisco. By the end of the weekend, there might be a first-place tie in the NFC North. Evan Royster out of the backfield. I beg your pardon, is Morris up to the 25.
Well, Washington trying to take a page out of the Eagles playbook. A little bit of a screen. Anything you can do to slow down, particularly these wide rushing ends, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Under Trent Williams was shaken up on that play. Left tackle for the Redskins. 3rd down and 6. Griffin still running around. Still on his feet and gets a Washington first down. Absolutely unbelievable to watch.
And it's harder to see than in the open field. But it's the acceleration that Robert Griffin has. Once he starts to pull away, here you can see he's just going to settle. And now it just collapses on him. Now suddenly moves back. Now when he spins out of that right here, this is typically where you might have the angle or run him down. Kendricks tries to take the angle and just can't get there. And watch the subtle explosion and acceleration of RG3. That's the subtleness of this guy's athleticism that you don't really recognize as much as in the open field. But this guy that's why he is so special and can make some plays outside of the structure of the offense.
It's hard to believe this is only his 10th NFL game. Timeout by the Redskins. Robert Griffin III, 2nd pick overall out of Baylor. As soon as he arrived today, immediately walked off the bus and wanted to make sure he took care of so many of his fans here in Washington.
And that's rare. You don't see a lot of guys, after the game they may do this. Very rarely will they do it before the game. He's a tremendous young man.
First down give is to Morris. Hard running, strong running by this rookie out of Florida Atlantic. Played for the former Redskin draft pick Howard Schnellenberger at Florida Atlantic, and left as the school's all-time leading rusher. And boy, has he had an outstanding rookie year.
Yeah, and the key, obviously, as you look at it, the Eagles have been up and down the field. They've had a bunch of screens that have hit, but obviously the turnovers have been the difference maker for the Redskins.
They pitch it to Morris, and this will be first down yardage. Crosses midfield, tackled at the Eagles' 49-yard line. That's a gain of 12 for Alfred Morris.
Great job by the left tackle Trent Williams getting to that edge. Normally against a wide 9 defense, that means the alignment of the wide ends of the Philadelphia Eagles, as it's referred to, makes getting outside very, very difficult. The very nature of the defense is to force it back to the inside. So you can see Washington on several plays now has tried to get to the outside, and when they do, it turns into a gash.
Fake it one way, fake the end around to Banks, and now looking wide open is Robinson, and that's a touchdown. Griffin to Aldrick Robinson.
And a lot going on with the Washington Redskins on that play. I think created some obvious confusion for the Philadelphia Eagles. Nnamdi Asomugha, the one that's beat, but as he came out of it, he's talking to Todd Bowles right now going, hey, I think there was someone else supposed to be deep back there. Where was he?
Couldn't get more wide open. Just make sure you wrap your hands around it. Nnamdi Asomugha looking around and was still looking around for help apparently on that 49-yard touchdown to Aldrick Robinson. He didn't have anybody in the same zip code. Now coming up to get the very short kick from the 7-yard line. And he's out across the 25, loses his footing at the 31.
Well, I'm going to try to explain what happened here, and you're going to see Kurt Kerman over here, and behind him is Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. I think that action should have brought Cromartie deep to the outside third. You can tell by the alignment of Asomugha, number 24 right here. He's expecting help inside. He would not have taken that alignment unless he thought there was going to be somebody in the middle third or middle half of the field, and obviously he was not.
Goes on first down into the hands of Brown. And that's a gain of 12 on first down. I want to remind you, coming up Tuesday night on Fox, give thanks to laughter and see why nobody does Thanksgiving comedy like the new Fox Tuesday. A night of comedy stuff with the all-new episodes of Raising Hope, Ben and Kate, New Girl, and the Mindy Project.
You're going to laugh your Fox off.
Starting at 8 Eastern, 7 Central, Tuesday on Fox. I really appreciate you helping me out and chipping in on all of the Fox promos.
That's a little more emotional to it.
You're right. And you've brought that element the last couple of weeks. Good running by McCoy. That'll be a gain of close to 7. You know, we started to talk earlier. Some of the criticism that has been directed at Andy Reid, not only this year, but in the last couple of years, not giving LaShawn McCoy the football enough. When he has carried 20 or more times this year, they have won every game. When he has carried less than 20 times, they have lost every game. Now, some might say that's skewed by, running out the clock, but that has not been the case, at least this year, as it pertains to LaShawn McCoy. Brown, a big hole, still on his feet. Run out of bounds at the 30, and a flag comes in late. Redskins are clapping and pointing at the Eagles. And they might be right.
Holding offense, number 18. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Well, this is the most creative running game I've seen out of the Eagles for a while. On the left, you can see right there, just got a handful of jersey and kind of ran him down. Negated what was really a well-designed play. Marty Morningwig trying to pull all the tricks out of the bag. He's heard the criticism. He's more about touches than actual runs for LaShawn McCoy. As long as LaShawn McCoy has a chance to put his hands on the ball, he doesn't care how he gets it.
It looks like the receiver, Harbor, got tangled up in coverage there, and no penalty flag.
Just kind of sneak plays, trying to work the waggle. London Fletcher been at this game a long time. Really no hindrance there. Just put a hand up. He tried to. He missed. London Fletcher couldn't get a hand on him. Just couldn't keep his balance getting down the field.
On second down and 10. They'll hand it off to McCoy. He's caught from behind at the 41-yard line. That'll be a gain of 2. Barry Cofield coming down the line to wrap up McCoy.
And the running game of the Philadelphia Eagles is set up and predicated on the ability to throw the ball. They're not a team that's going to line up and just run a stretch zone play like we see in Washington or get in the eye and pound away. With all these quick screens in the passing game, that's what sets up the traps and the draws and the special kind of plays that LaShawn McCoy has been so effective at. So you've got to work at it in a balance in order to keep the effectiveness of this Philadelphia Eagle offense.
Third down and 7. And Foles is hammered back in midfield. There is a penalty flag there. Ball came loose, was picked up by Jake Scott. Josh Wilson was the first defender there for the Redskins.
Holding offense, number 67. Penalties applied. Fourth down.
Well, anytime you face a rookie quarterback, you got to decide, am I going to bring pressure or am I going to go passive? And right now, Jim Haslett's decided to bring pressure. We talked about pressure inside. Now all of a sudden, Nick Foles doesn't account for a cat blitz. That's a corner blitz off the weak side. This is the first time I think we've seen a corner come from the outside. So Jim Haslett emptying his bag in terms of the ways he's going to put pressure on Nick Foles.
Jarvis Jenkins had jarred that football loose out of the arms of Foles. The Eagles able to recover and now will punt. McBride. And this one fielded by Banks inside his 10, and he runs into his own man. Stripped out of there, but the ball went out of bounds. Hakeem Jordan ripping that thing loose. Redskins with the football when we come back in a 14-3 lead.
Brandon Banks trying to find a way to puncture the 11-man coverage team of the Philadelphia Eagles. And oh, by the way, what are you doing, man? Alexandra in there, she's going, you forgot which color jersey you have on. I had to beat 12 people on that return. He's going, yeah, it was me. It was me.
Touchdown, punt, and a touchdown. And their first 3 possessions of this game, and now fourth, they pitch it to Morris. And he picks up maybe a yard. First man to meet him, D'Amico Ryans. Well, in honor of Veterans Day, for every point scored during the NFL's 32 Salute to Service games, the league will donate $100 to each of its nonprofit partners, the USO, Wounded Warrior Project, and the Pat Tillman Foundation. To join the salute and learn more, visit NFL.com/salute. Arlington National Cemetery, just outside of Washington, D.C. Into the hands of Joshua Morgan, his first catch of the day. And that picks up 3 yards, 3rd and long upcoming. It's called the exchange of rifles. Of course, they have the Tomb of the Unknowns and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, dedicated to American service members who have perished without their remains being identified. Going all the way back to World War I. Guarded 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. Redskins have not been good on third down over this last 3-game losing streak. And they're short here. Morgan, about a yard shy of first down, needed to get to the 24, and they'll spot it at the 23.
Now they bring pressure here. Got a hat on a hat. Rob Griffin getting the ball out in plenty of time. It's just short. That's the whole idea of the defense. We'll give you all you want underneath the first down depth. Redskins, as you said, Tom, have been struggling. That was a major point of emphasis for them in their bye week. Offensive coordinator Kyle Shanahan saying that they just needed to get their fundamentals down in that down and distance.
Johnson lost his footing, springs back up, and now with running room. Demarcus Johnson is run out of bounds by the punter. Savraka able to shove him out of bounds. Good return. Eagles trailing 14-3, but good field position when we come back.
Demarcus Johnson unwittingly kind of sets this thing up with the slip, spins out, starts this way, and then peels back the other way. I want you to watch what it does to coverage in here. They start that way, and then it just condenses this whole right side. They think they're going to have to cover on the other side. Nice block by Dion Lewis, helping him get around the edge, and a nice return.
I'll tell you what, Savraka now is 6'5", 263 pounds. That's a punter that...
But he's still a punter.
Well, I understand, but he's not built like me. 6'5", 263. He can get to you. He might be able to hurt you. Misfire by Foles on first down with an eye on Riley Cooper.
Now, Andy Reid told us that Nick Foles did a nice job of getting the ball out of his hands quickly last week against Dallas. Almost too quickly. Had to tell him, you know what? It's okay if you kind of read this thing out. Nick Foles told us about, I need to get the ball out quickly and aggressively, but sometimes you got to read a thing out. The defense is going to bait you into one thing and show you something else.
And look at the former Tampa Bay Buccaneers head coach. Now on the Redskins staff, Raheem Morris. Screen and smothered. What a play made by Perry Riley. Redskins have been hurt on that play a couple of times already today. Not there, and McCoy slow to get up.
Yeah, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you for even trying right here. He's got it snuffed out from the get-go. Again, we've seen enough of these screens that obviously defensive coordinator Jim Haslett, particularly at the linebacker level, is telling his guys, we got to read out the screens. We got to know where these backs are.
Edric Golson did a nice job along with Riley. So be third down and forever. 3rd and 17. Foles delivers, and it is a first down to midfield. Demarcus Johnson, the rookie out of Tulsa. A gain of 21.
Again, we're going to see Nick Foles do a nice job. They show pressure on the inside early. Again, watch him climb the pocket. Keeps his vision down the field. Doesn't panic and take off. He knows where he wants to go with the ball. This guy's got a big arm, and he's very accurate.
Bryce Brown back into the game. Spun around, but inside the 50, down to the 47-yard line. Clock winding down under the 4-minute mark here in the second quarter.
This would be a good down and distance in here. You're on a second and a somewhat medium. A lot of people would expect a run, maybe a trap in here. This might be a place for a vertical.
Going to hand it off. McCoy looking for running room, and Merriweather coming up to make the tackle after a gain of a yard. The Eagles have moved the football in this game. Brian, you alluded to it earlier. Especially since that opening possession when they had the interception on the third play. The Foles 120 passing yards. Not a lot of noise from McCoy running the ball, but he has made noise in the screen game.
And he's got 10 touches, halfway to your 20 touches observation about what it takes for them to be effective.
Foles caught about a yard shy of a first down. Or was it caught? No. Selleck unable to hang on. Well, that's a big drop right there. You might have thought about going for it. Third down and a foot.
That's two drops by Brett Selleck, one leading to the bounce up in the air for the turnover that led to a score on very much the same counter route.
Selleck, who has been so dependable during his 6-year career for Philadelphia, but a tough start to this one. So now McBriar will punt it. Redskins will get the ball with 2 timeouts remaining, along with a 2-minute warning. We're at the 2:35 mark until halftime. Banks will let it bounce, and it does so into the end zone.
Well, Nick Foles here. We talked about Brent Selleck. This isn't Foles' fault. The ball bounces up. Now he's got pressure in the middle, forced to throw it up early. That turns to interception. Didn't see the cat blitz off the weak side. Lucky that didn't turn into a turnover to the Washington Redskins. That's a lot to throw at a young rookie quarterback. This guy is a very smart quarterback, obviously with the size. He's got good vision. They like the way he executes the offense, but it's a totally different pace that he's seeing now than he saw in the preseason and certainly on the practice field the first 8 weeks of the season.
And now Robert Griffin III from his own 20. I mentioned they have 2 timeouts. They have a 2-minute warning, and they're going to play action on first down and looking for Robinson way down the field again. But Griffin tucks it away, loses the ball. It looks like the Redskins covered it up.
And
Worldly by Young.
He had a shot down the field, Tom. We could both see it. He just couldn't gather himself. He's looking right here. I'm cracking for the run, and now I'm going to go vertical in behind it. He had the same kind of shot, all but Asamoah coming up from the side. Had the same kind of shot he scored on before. Just didn't have time to pull the trigger.
2 minutes to go. Washington with a football from their own 22-yard line. 2-minute warning. And the Redskins have a pair of timeouts in their pocket. Fake one way. And looking down the field and making a catch up to the 43, a gain of 20. First catch of the afternoon for Leonard Hankerson in his second year out of Miami. He is their second leading receiver. Although it's his first catch today, clock continues to run. Come the other way, and oh, that was so dangerous. Rogers Cromartie just went for the knockdown. This could have been a pick six the other way.
Yeah, this is something desperately the Philadelphia Eagle defense needs. He ends up getting his hand in there. You'd like to see him come around, maybe go for the pick. We talked about in the open, Tom, this Philadelphia Eagle team has only generated 10 takeaways compared to those teams in the league that we talked about, the Chicago Bears that were upwards of 30-plus takeaways. That's a major difference in terms of what a defense can contribute.
Griffin looking around, spins one way, spins another, can't spin out of a third. Fletcher Cox there along with Nate Allen. Third down and 10 as the clock continues to run, and the Redskins have those 2 timeouts with 10 to go. And Griffin still on his feet, twisted down right at midfield, is short of a first down. Well, the Eagles are not going to stop the clock,
which I think tells you something about the mentality and the concern, rightfully so.
Redskins are going to go for it.
Yeah,
you saw Mike Shanahan originally saying, let's go, let's go, let's go. And a lot of Redskins are sort of standing around. Going to wonder if they're going to go now. We've got halftime coming up. And what's coming up, Mr. Menifee?
Coming up on the Visa halftime, these guys will be more than just eye candy as we get you caught up on all the action around the NFL, including the Cowboys trying to continue their turnaround as they host the Browns, and the Jets, well, they'll try and end a tumultuous week by beating the Rams. We'll find out on the Visa halftime.
Well, those guys look serious in there, dialed in.
I was making the point that Philadelphia is kind of telling us what they think about the rookie quarterback by not calling a timeout to buy some time, that they're just going to be happy to go in at halftime as is. But the Redskins got a little bit turned around in terms of what their intention was, in terms of were they going to go for it or indeed punt it. And I think Mike Shanahan, recognizing that the Eagles weren't going to try to go for any kind of offensive output or put it down in field goal position, then decided, well, if you're going to do that, I'll go ahead and punt it. Did you get all that?
I got all that. I'm trying to figure out.
Did any of it make sense?
I thought Shanahan was going for it there.
Well,
I was sort of excited to see that call on.
Well, I think he changed gears when he saw that Andy wasn't going to call timeout. I think that changed his thinking just a little bit.
The shotgun will just hand it off. And the ball is loose to the Redskins' hand.
Wow.
What a huge turn of events this could be. It is Redskins football.
And this is the kind of thing that can run you out of coaching, man. You're trying to do the right thing. I'm just going to run the ball. I'm going to go in at halftime and regroup a little bit. I'm on the road, and all of a sudden now you get a turnover. You try to do the safe, conservative thing. Great play by Kerrigan, pulling that thing, just battling. How many times do we talk about how many times it might change hands? Nice job by Cofield knocking it out. And now it's just a scramble for the ball. Huge opportunity for the Washington Redskins, and the last thing, a Philadelphia Eagle team that wanted to do the right thing and just regroup at halftime, now having to play defense.
Well, let's be honest about it. That's the way this season is going for the Philadelphia Eagles. That might be a microcosm of the entire year. Griffin looking around, comes back the other way, and throws. It is caught for a 5-yard loss.
Now I love what RG3 can do, but that was a little ill-advised. They're in a position to get at the minimum 3 points, and that's got to be the thought process here. He's scanning the field. He now has to roll outside the pocket. Now at this point, either run it or throw it away. This type of throw here, although that's a heck of a throw all the way across the field, how often does that turn into disaster, or maybe a pick six the other way? Plus you cost your team some time. Up 14-3. The 3 points are paramount. The 7 points, obviously a luxury at this point.
Well, Sean McCoy, his first 3 seasons, had over 800 touches. He fumbled 3 times. This year, he has fumbled 3 times. Third turnover of the game for the Eagles. A pair of interceptions and now a fumble. The Redskins with a timeout remaining. At the Philadelphia 15, into the hands of Morris. And he is tackled at the 12-yard line. And the Redskins are going to stop the clock for a field goal try. See some jawing going back and forth there between Brandon Graham and Garcon, Kurt Coleman.
And that's a veteran Coleman getting after Garcon. Someone needs to get in Garcon ear. You know what? There's nothing positive comes from this. All you're going to do is get us backed up. He's trying to play a mind game with you right now. You've been out of action for a little bit. Get your backside to the sideline. Let's kick a field goal and go up with 2 complete scores.
Are you a little surprised there with a timeout? The Redskins did not take one more shot for the end zone.
Well, Tom, how many times have we been in that situation? These Philadelphia Eagles, the last time we saw it against Arizona, and they did that very thing, ended up being a fumble and a return for a touchdown. I think in this instance, you did the smart thing. Inside of 10 seconds, even with the timeout, go ahead and take the field goal.
Penalty flags down, a timeout called by the Eagles.
12 men on the field in formation. 5-yard penalty.
I beg your pardon.
Third down.
Too many men on the field for Philadelphia. Well, the Eagles right now are a mess. Granted, they're playing without their starting quarterback, Michael Vick, but he had started all 9 games this year, and the team is 3-6.
And this is where Bobby April, we're talking about some of the criticisms that fall on. You can see right there, he's going, oh my gosh, how can we have 12 guys on the field? There's a lot of things that go into substitutions. Who's up, who's down? Is somebody hurt? No, I thought that. And Bobby April's the one that receives the heat for it.
25-yard field goal try, and it is good by Kai Forbath. And that's the way the opening half will come to an end. The Washington Redskins in front 17-3. Here's Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles with the Visa halftime, which begins right now. 17-3. Redskins will get the football, Coach Billick, to begin the second half. We invite you to follow your favorite team all season long. Go to iTunes.com/NFL. Well, we talked about both teams feeling like this was a must-win game. Nick Foles making his first NFL start here today in place of the concussed Michael Vick. Foles came on in relief in the second quarter last week in a loss to the Cowboys. You said it earlier, Brian. Big difference if you're thinking about having at least some kind of hope for the playoff. 3-7, you're all but done. 4-6, you've got a fighting chance.
Yeah, and you can see with the numbers here, this doesn't mean anything if you're going to do that with 3 turnovers. And you're right. 3-7 virtually eliminates you, even if it doesn't actually put you out. You can see it from there.
Redskins will get it at the 20-yard line, and let's check in downstairs with Laura.
Thanks, Tom. I wasn't able to talk to Andy Reid, who does not talk when the Eagles are trailing. I did talk to Mike Shanahan. I asked him what he was doing to rattle Nick Foles, and he said, actually, we haven't done that great of a job. What's getting him nervous are the screens that he's throwing. He said he's done a great job with that. We need to eliminate those because that's what the big plays are coming off of. Offensively, they need to get some big plays as well. He said, we're driving, but we're not converting third downs enough. We need to start moving the ball, put some nice drives together. Back to you.
Laura Oakman, thank you very much. So Griffin and the Redskins here on first down, opening possession of the second half. Flag down on the first down, handoff to Morris. He spun down after a gain of a yard.
And that's part of the efficiency Mike Shanahan's talking about.
Illegal formation, offense. Number 74 was on the end of the line. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Right from the start, first third down of the game was intercepted by D'Angelo Hall, which led to the touchdown to Young. Second pick thrown by Foles, this one from Merriweather playing his first game. The big strike of 49 yards to Aldrick Robinson. When Philadelphia fumbled, just trying to run out the clock to end the first half, and the Redskins were able to take advantage and score 3 more. Morris on first down and 15, a gain of 3.
And to finish off what I was saying about that efficiency Mike Shanahan was coveting, when you have a procedure penalty on 1st and 10, making it 1st and 15, we've already talked about how third downs have been an issue for the Washington Redskins, a real point of focus for them during the bye week. They wanted to get Robert Griffin III focused on his progression reads, but all of a sudden now a 5-yard play that should have put you in 2nd and 5. Now it just gets you back to the original 10 yards in the line of scrimmage. That's the kind of efficiency that Mike Shanahan's talking about that they need to get here. And here another penalty.
False start, offense number 46. 5-yard penalty, second down.
So the Redskins have come out clearly not all that focused to begin this second half.
Well, Mike Shanahan knows it. He's upset here. You can tell that he's getting jawing at the official, but there's no question that Alfred Morris moved prior to the snap. And now you're sitting here at 2nd and 15 after you've run a successful 5-yard play on your first down.
Redskins are the most penalized team in number of penalties and penalty yards in the NFL. Wide receiver screen to Garcon that did not fool the Eagles. That'll bring up third down and eternity.
You know, we've seen a bunch of these wide screens, Tom. We've also already seen the Redskins fake the wide screen and take a shot down the field, completed to Leonard Hankerson, because it sets up that vertical, because everybody comes running up to take these quick screens on both sides of the ball.
Third down and 17. Griffin caught from behind. Well, Babin's been knocking on that door all day long, and he finally got it. Babin did not make a single tackle in the game against Dallas last week, and he picks up his 4th sack of the year.
And this is perseverance here. He gets upfield. RG3 steps up pretty good, but nice spin move by Babin to come back underneath Trent Williams. That's tough on an offensive lineman when he's figuring the ball should be gone by then.
Damaris Johnson waiting back in midfield. And from his own 48, crosses the 50 and steps out of bounds close to the 45. Excellent field position for Foles to begin the second half. So the Eagles get the ball for the first time to begin the second half, trailing 17-3. They have scored on their first possession of the second half in 8 consecutive games. Trying to do it again now and get back in this one, and looking for it on one play. Down the sideline and out of bounds. Well, Deshaun Jackson was jawing the entire first half about not getting him the ball. He had 2 catches for a total of 5 yards. Jeremy Maclin, who had 8 for 93 in the loss last week in Dallas, not a single touch in the game.
Well, he had a reason to jaw there, because he had D'Angelo Hall beat. Nick Foles needed to just keep it on the field, and they had a touchdown.
On second down, they give it to McCoy. Last time he touched it, he fumbled in the final minute of the opening half, but a gain of 5, close to 6 here. It'll bring up third down for the Eagles, leading a touchdown in the worst sort of way.
And Deshaun Jackson obviously can be frustrated to a degree. They've not really, that's the first vertical shot the Eagles have taken down the field to he or Maclin, and normally they're a much more vertical team. They've gotten big plays out of their screen game, but that's the first time they've actually taken that shot down the field to either outside receiver.
Eagles 4 of 9 on third down in the game so far. And on 3rd and 5, they will convert. Selleck hangs on, and he's down to the 19.
Selleck just going right down the middle of the field. He shifted to this position, which they'd hoped, even if it were man, we're going to line him up one-on-one with a linebacker, and you like that matchup with Brent Selleck, hitting into that soft area in behind the linebackers.
Cincinnati native ranked 2nd in franchise history in receptions, receiving yards, and touchdown to Pete Retzloff in Eagles history. McCoy looking for running room. Tell you what, Barry Cofield's had a nice season for the Redskins. Came over from the Giants and had 4-3. Playing the nose in this Redskins 3-4, but he's having a good year.
And watch him come in here and just disrupt it. He's got 2 guys. He pushes literally the guard and the center right back into the play and allows Ryan Kerrigan to clean up on the backside.
Merriweather is injured. Brandon Merriweather injured his left knee in the second preseason game, re-aggravated the injury prior to the opener, tried to come back 4 weeks later, hurt it again, warming up in a pregame, and appeared to do something to the right leg right there.
Good to see him up walking around. Probably was shocked him more than anything else.
Today, his first game of his 2012 season. Crossing out of the backfield, it's McCoy. Sticks his nose forward inside the 15-yard line. It brings up third down and 4 for the Eagles. Trailing 17-3 here in the first 5 minutes. of this third quarter.
And you talked about getting LaShawn McCoy cranked up, running it the 20 times, and how many times they're successful. To me, it's just the touches. I don't care if he runs it, catches it. If that statistic held up, I'd just give the ball to him 20 times and go home, because that means we win the game. But it really is about touches, and that's what we're seeing here with LaShawn McCoy, whether it's the screen game, whether they're running the ball, or putting him out in the backfield and running a legitimate route like a wide receiver like we saw there.
They clock down to 2, and Foles looking around, and I don't think he got it off. Barely did. Well, there's a flag way back in the secondary, and that's delay of game, and that is a big mistake.
5-yard penalty, third down.
3rd and 4 now becomes 3rd down and 9.
Well, there again, with a rookie, you'd expect or not expect him to be aware of that game clock. Here you can see on the last pass, this guy's a big, strong arm, and if that thing just slipped out, it's amazing it was completed, because it's like the ball slipped out of his hands and he lost control of it.
Well, they need to get inside the 10 to convert. That's 7 penalties now against Philadelphia. And Foles has it stripped away by Kerrigan. And let's see who's on the bottom of that pile. It might be LaShawn McCoy, and it is.
That may be the most important carry he has all day, even though it wasn't intended. Again, looks like he was going to just get ready to release the ball. No, he's got good fundamental mechanics, the ball fairly close to him, but that blind side hit like we saw there on Foles is a quarterback's worst nightmare. They'd say, well, you need to protect the ball, hold it closer to the body. Well, not if you're in the action of trying to get rid of the ball. There's certain body mechanics that are going to expose the ball, and that's what happened there.
42-yard field goal tried by Henry, who's hit 15 in a row, and make it 16. Boy, has he been good since he left the University of Nebraska. 17-6 score. Rookie quarterbacks inside the NFC East. Tom Brenneman, Brian Billick, Laura Oakman back here in Washington. You've had rookie quarterbacks going back to your coaching days. I would imagine you would have a few more gray hairs than you actually do. You might be tidying that up a little bit, though. I'm not sure.
They looked young, didn't they? And obviously the game plan has to reflect it. I think we're seeing in Philadelphia to a degree with the number of quick screens out there, the trapping game. Nick Foles already thrown it 25 times. A little high for my money for a rookie quarterback on his first start. I'm sure Philadelphia would like to have been a little bit more balanced in the run. But with the turnovers and them getting down, it's forced their hand a little bit in terms of the plays he's going to have to make down the field for them to get back into it.
8:27 to play in the third. Redskins have the ball when we come back. Redskins defense done a nice job. They've had a lot of very key injuries or suspensions to what the defense they thought they would have when this year began. They lost Kennard Jackson to a suspension. Merriweather injured. Brian Arakpo along with Adam Carricker. So far so good today. And the ball is loose. Stripped away, and Morris got it right back. Looked like Ryans was the one who knocked that thing to the ground.
Well, they get a good exchange here, so he clearly has the ball. Just gets knocked out just as there's a little bit of contact there. D'Amico Ryans being able to knock the ball out. You know, we've seen no efficiency whatsoever out of this Redskin offense in this second half. Mike Shanahan was looking for a certain level of productivity. You got to give the defense credit for only holding on for 3 on a short field, but this offense needs to get a first down and keep that defense off the field for a little bit.
Take it one way, Griffin rolling the other, defended nicely by the Eagles. And that's maybe back to the line of scrimmage. Derek Landry not fooled on that play. Well, Star NFL to download NFL Mobile now and get coverage of every NFL game. Well, all of a sudden this thing can start to get a little bit tighter here if the Eagles can come up with a 3rd and 10 stop.
Well, we always talk about the scoring differential, and that last field goal brought it within 2 scores. And again, we've not seen any productivity out of the Redskins offense here in the second half. And now again, 3rd down, an area they have struggled. They're here on a 3rd and 10. Much tougher to convert than 3rd and short and 3rd and medium.
And another penalty.
Wow.
This will be their 3rd one of the half.
Offense number 46.
That's the second
penalty.
time
3rd down.
their running back Alfred Morris has been called for a false start.
You know, and there's a lot going on here. Obviously, you verbalize it. There's shifting, there's motioning going on. But part of the problem here for the Redskins, in 3rd down and 6 or less, they're 48%, which is a decent percentage. But when they're 3rd and long, better than 7, they're 15%. Well, they just took themselves from a 3rd and long to a 3rd and even longer. This is part of the issue for them on 3rd down.
Griffin got a block, and he will carry across the 30 for a first down. Looked like a block from Morris, who had just committed the penalty the prior play. Sprung him loose for the necessary yardage.
This is unbelievable. You can watch Morris come in here. He's down the field. Now watch the subtlety of RG3. And now the speed there. And now he starts inside right up here. This is what created the 3rd down conversion right there. Staying with the block down the field and letting Robert Griffin III use his speed to get out to the edge and convert on the 3rd down.
44 yards rushing on only 6 attempts for Robert Griffin III, and into the hands of Morris. He's wrapped up by Ryan. It's been a pretty quiet day for Morris.
I'm a little surprised we're not seeing more of the patented Mike Shanahan stretch zone running scheme right now. They seem to be almost exclusively out of the gun, a little bit of that option or the counter action there, but the pure inside to outside zone read runs that has led this team to, going into the game, be 2nd in the league in rushing offense. I don't know whether they think they can't run that against the Philadelphia Eagles, but we haven't seen much of it here.
They saw collapsing on the sidelines. There was Logan Paulson, and you heard the crowd sounded like they were booing. They were cheering Chris Cooley coming into the game. That one snuffed out defensively by the Redskins, and again Ryan's in the middle of it all.
Again, all over the screens right here. We heard Laura Oakman talk about Mike Shanahan, and I'm sure Andy Reid would have said the same thing, that the screen game is something both teams need to get under control, if not for the productivity on those plays, in that it leads to other things on the inside. So both teams obviously focusing on taking away the screen game of the other.
Tell you, this Redskins offense right now is a mess. They have guys running on the field, running off the field. Saw the injury to Paulson. Nobody knows who's supposed to be in the game, and they got to burn a timeout.
Well, just a little bit confusion on the Redskins. We got one run off, then one run on, then we got one run off, one run on, then a second run on, a third run on. No, I've got to come out, and just for good measure, let's send on the trainers and see if they want to get involved with the play. Yeah, that's not a good series for the Washington Redskins.
It's all in front of this 3rd down. 3rd and 10. 4-man rush. Good protection. And now a flag, and he just throws it as far as he can for Santana Moss, who caught the ball, and a touchdown. But again, a penalty flag all the way back behind the line of scrimmage. If this is against Philadelphia, this is a touchdown.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Defense.
It is. Santana Moss is 5'10" on his best day. How in the world did he catch this? Well, between Coleman and Boykin.
This thing's just on a wing and a prayer, and had this thing gotten picked off like it probably should have, would have been very critical of RG3 for even launching it up. He could say, well, it's the same as a punt, provided that there's no return. You're right. That's just not playing the ball very well. Of course, if they played the ball well and could catch it, they'd be playing receiver and not DB anyway. So, yeah, that's a huge mistake on by the sake of Coleman and Boykin. That you got to break that up when that thing hung up almost like a punt.
Hey, Santana Moss has quietly put together one mighty fine career, especially since coming from the Jets in a trade. Only Art Monk, Charlie Taylor, and Gary Clark have more receptions as a Redskin.
And of course, you're going to wait that long to throw it up. It takes the athleticism right there, and the arm, by the way, to throw that thing darn near 60 yards, 65 yards in the air. And I'm sure that's what RG3's mentality was, well, even if they intercept it, it's kind of the same as a punt. But as it turned out, Santana Moss decided he wanted the ball more than Boykin or Coleman did. Wow. And really the defense to that point had put Washington in a couple 3rd and longs. The penalties, it was inefficient. You know, you saw a little confusion, by the Washington Redskins as to the personnel grouping. Totally out of sync, and then boom, a big play like that.
Well, that's what they meant to do, Brian. They were drawing up that play.
It was. That's my story. See, that's where you get the guys on the sideline and go, look, guys, if anybody asks, that's why we designed it that way, okay? We practiced it that way, including the substitution errors to start. Just make sure we got all our stories straight.
Moss just became a 9th active receiver to eclipse 9,500 career receiving yards. Originally a New York Jet, Santana Moss was traded in 2005 to the Redskins. They told him during the offseason, you better lose 15 pounds if you want your job. He did, and has put together a pretty good year. Short kick fielded by Riley Cooper. Still on his feet. And chopped down at the 25-yard line by Aldrick Robinson. Like to remind you, the UFC returns to Fox. Lightweight champion Benson Henderson and Nate Diaz. 4 epic bouts along with it. Coverage UFC on Fox 5 begins Saturday, December the 8th. 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific, only on Fox. I think it's Riley Cooper who went down hard after bringing back that kick. He's been hurt a lot already this season, fracturing a collarbone back in training camp. Here's where he went down, and we're taking a look at him now. We'll be back. Santana Moss, touchdown reception, giving the Redskins a 24-6 lead. Officially going for 61 yards. And now Foles and the Eagles forced to put it up, and the Redskins know it, and that one lofted beyond the sideline with an eye on Jeremy Maclin, who still has not caught a single pass in the game here today.
Well, the game plan changes significantly now as we're closing into the 4-minute mark in the 3rd quarter. You wanted to protect your quarterback Foles to a degree, but I'm not sure now, down 24-6, that you've got to get into at least familiar territory for the Philadelphia Eagles, because it's got to be a lot of throws now if you're going to catch up.
Let's check in downstairs with Laura Oakland.
Tom, Mike Shanahan was so worried about the left knee of Brandon Merriweather before the game. He didn't want him to come out for pregame warm-ups. He just sprained his right knee. His return is questionable. Logan Paulson, the tight end, is also questionable with a left hip injury.
Laura, thank you. You may remember the reason being is that when they thought when Merriweather was coming back before the Tampa Bay game, during the pregame warm-ups, he ran into his own teammate, Aldrick Robinson, and re-injured that left knee. Foles in trouble and sacked.
That was just a well-designed stunt by Jim Haslett, the defensive coordinator. Brought Perry Riley around. You can right there. You can see them holding up their hands. Evan Matheson, where did he come from? They ran him. It was about a $4 cab ride around that edge, but ran a stunt with Riley all the way to the outside. Nick Foles had the right idea. He had enough people to block it, just not the right angle.
So when the Redskins were coming after that punt, Hanks from the 20. Evades one, would-be tackler a second. Brings it up to the 32, and we send it to Los Angeles for a game break.
Well, the Lions have 3 turnovers offensively against the Green Bay Packers today, although this one off the hands of Tony Scheffler counts as an interception by Matthew Stafford right into the hands of M.D. Jennings. 72 yards later, it's good for 7, and the Packers have the lead 14-10 on the road in the 3rd quarter. Tom, Brian, and Laura.
You know, Brian, we were talking about teams that have a must-win game. You don't want to make a living having to beat the Green Bay Packers in a must-win game, but the way that division is shaking out, Detroit loses that game, they are in a world of trouble.
Not the least of which is Green Bay, Minnesota, and Chicago, all right there. A loss in the division is a killer.
Morris on a first down pitch crosses a 35. They'll spot it at the 36-yard line. When you're talking about the Bears, who will play in San Francisco without Jay Cutler after the concussion last week in their loss against the Texans. We have Chicago at 7-2. Green Bay with a win would go to 7-3. And Minnesota has a bye this week. They're in that final group of teams in the NFL to get the bye week in week 10. Griffin kept the ball as a first down, and it slides down, and that's a flag, and you saw it coming from a mile away. Looked like Darryl Tapp may have made contact with Griffin once he had already slid.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Defense number 59. 15-yard penalty.
He said 59, Ryans.
And this is so tough with a running quarterback, and this was a designed run, but he was giving himself up, and I think it was the lateness of it here. At that point, he's a runner, but it was late, and right there, you were right, Tom. It was Darryl Tapp, I think, because right here, you cannot. It was Tapp late, and I think it was the lateness of Tapp hitting, but boy, that's tough for me. Once the guy declares himself as a runner, can he then redeclare himself as a vulnerable player? That's a tough one. Wow.
Offense number 66. 5-yard penalty. First down.
That's Chris Chester. You know, it's been this group really, by and large, Brian, this offensive line for the Redskins, and they have started every game together. They have played pretty well this season. There you take a look again at that late hit, or at least at what was called a late hit.
They have, and the coaches will tell you they think that's the strength of the offense right now, particularly in the running game. Obviously with Morris and RG3, that the combination, the best ever at quarterback, running back, certainly this year in the NFL. But that offensive line has played very well. Now we're seeing a little bit more conventional running style of the Washington Redskins. Again, Mike Shanahan in the stretch zone that starts outside, then inside. Right now, the clock does become a factor as well. They'd love to use that number 2 ranked rushing offense now. And here you can see Morris and Griffin and what they're able to do as a 1-2 punch. And it's like having 2 running backs back there. But a little bit more conventional in the running game. That's what's gotten them here. Although that read option and sprint option and some of the unique things that Robert Griffin can do certainly is a factor for them.
See Logan Paulson back in there. Joshua Morgan with a catch, very close to a first down, depending on where they spot it. And it is a first down to the 28.
And that's what the running game does after a quick play action fake. The linebackers have to adjust to it and step up, leaving anything underneath. This is Chris Foerster, the offensive line coach. Chris was with me in Baltimore back in our Stanford days and Minnesota days as well. One of the best line coaches in the game. Has done a great job with this group because they've had their share of injuries as well, and have developed from within.
They're hoping to get Jamal Brown back. Their outstanding tackle. He started to practice for the first time just in the last week and a half following hip surgery. They were wondering, there was an outside shot they thought at the beginning of the week that he could play today. That is not happening, but coaching staff went on record as telling us he's got to win that job back from Tyler Columbus.
Yeah, and the key with this offensive line, other than Trent Williams, who was their first pick overall in 2010, the 4th pick overall by Washington, the rest of these guys all came from someplace else. So they've had to reach out via free agency and via signings to put together an offensive line, which usually is not a good thing, but in this instance, they've worked together to put a real cohesive group.
Robert Griffin just realized, I've got to get a play off. So they snap the football. There's some pushing and shoving going on in there with Babbitt and a couple of Redskins, and now they're scrummed around. There's a lot of jawing and shoving going on. Cox in the middle of all that. But that's the end of the third quarter. 24-6 Washington.
I think Robert Griffith had it right. He recognized that the clock was going to expire before they had to run a play, and then somebody thought not, made him get back under center, and there was the confusion. Tempers are starting to flare, Tom, and the importance of this game, I think before this quarter's out, we may see a little bit more of that because the frustration is beginning to come out on both sides.
So we begin the fourth quarter. And they hand it to Banks on the end around, and he has enough, it appears, for a first down, or maybe about maybe about a foot short of the first down.
This is a good call, and you make this call because you know what's coming on the backside. Look how flat it is. Nice job coming around and pinning it there, but you only call that play when you feel like the backside end or linebackers are pursuing way too flat.
Look at that blocking by Young. 10, 15 yards down the field. That's a former linebacker back in his college days at Villanova. They're about 5 inches short of a first down. And that might be all Griffin got. And now all of a sudden some more pushing and shoving going on. Kurt Coleman, Tyler Columbus.
Well, this could be close.
I don't think he made it.
Oh boy, and then our line is unofficial there. You can see a little bit with that yellow line, but it is unofficial. But yet it tends to be pretty darn close. I'm not sure Washington doesn't go for it here. Just wedge it up, do something. Not that the 3 points aren't important. Because there's no way of telling there exactly where the spot should be.
That's where you're always so nice to the officials about how they spot this ball. You've always been very pleasant with them.
Yes. Yeah, and you couldn't spot that a quarter of an inch the other way, huh? Just a half an inch. You're sure it's there, right? You're absolutely sure. Well, evidently they are, because it's fourth down, and here they're going to go for it.
Would you talk to them like that in a very degrading manner?
No. No, not
like you do with the rest of us.
75,000 would have gone to 100,000. I'm stupid, but I'm not that stupid. I draw the line at $100,000 in fines.
All right, fourth down and whatever that is. And they didn't get it.
They may not. That final jump cut killed them. Nice surge by the defensive front of the Philadelphia Eagles. We just talked about this offensive line. Hey, look at, he's looking right there. Let me get the push, and it's not going to happen. You can see offensive line stumble a little bit. That jump cut by Morris will kill you when you need inches.
Big defensive stand there by the Eagles to at least give themselves a fighting chance for nearly an entire fourth quarter to play, trailing 24-6. First time that Macklin has had his hands on the ball, and he takes a big hit from Dejon Jones.
And this is where we're at the point of the game. Now you're going to put your young rookie quarterback in a position where you got to overcome 3 scores. Continue with your 4-man rush. Throw a lot of matchup zones, matchup mans on the back end. See if this guy wants to throw you the ball.
Well, Macklin appears to be all right, although he walks to the sideline. Got a hip injury, a lower back injury he's been playing with pretty much the entire year. And a nice play made by D'Angelo Hall. 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Hall able to move pretty quick. He's a lot lighter in the wallet after $30,000 a fine he took for that incident involving the game official, the game you were there, Brian, in Pittsburgh.
Yeah, and in my opinion, a deserved fine. He lost his cool. He's lost his control. It was a fine that was very appropriate, in my opinion.
Bowles just fires out of bounds as he takes a hit from behind by the chasing Redskin defender.
Offense number 64. Penalties decline. Fourth down.
That was Lorenzo Alexander breathing down his back.
This is what I'm talking about, the zones on the back side. You're going to just flood the zones, make him throw it into one of these areas where you got more bodies than he does. Let your four-man rush get home, which it did this last play. Nothing to go to. That caused Nick Foles to pull the ball back down, get outside the pocket, which is not his strength. Led to not only the hold, but the incompletion.
So you get a big defensive stand on a 4th down and less than a foot. And then you punt 4 plays later.
Delay game, defense number 20. Illegal movement prior to the snap. 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
Andy Reid has never had one of his Eagles teams lose 5 in a row. So it goes without saying they lose again today. That stretches to 6 in a row. They began the year, you may remember, with back-to-back 1-point wins. They were the first team in NFL history to win each of their first 2 games by 1 point. We saw them absolutely annihilated in Arizona before they got a win. And have not won since. RG3 and the Redskins up big. We're in the 4th quarter. 24-6. Redskins in front. 13:05 to play. Redskins trying to end a losing streak of their own, which stands at 3. You may remember they were 3-3. They had a crushing loss against the Giants. And they had gotten the big touchdown pass to Santana Moss and gave up a 77-yarder to Victor Cruz as Morris picks up close to 15 on 1st down, and he's inside the 40 to the 38-yard line.
Well, another great block by Darrell Young right here, and they start. This is that little pitch to the outside, and now the strength of Alfred Morris. When you can, you get downhill. The way this guy carries his pads, always getting positive yards. This is the strength of the Redskin team, their ability to run the ball, to set up the play-action pass, and that leads to the big play.
110 rushing yards for the Redskins so far. And nearly an entire quarter to add to it. Flag down. And that'll be a gain of 2. And get some more pushing and shoving and talking.
Holding, offense number 78. 10-yard penalty, 1st down.
That's on Lichtensteiger, the left guard. Of course, Mike Shanahan, he knows all about the running game and finding that diamond in the rough in the 6th round. The great Terrell Davis, Gary behind him, and Mike Anderson in the 6th round of 2000. And each of those backs having at least 1,000-yard rushing year. And Morris well on his way after they found him in the 6th round out of Florida Atlantic.
Clinton Portis, Reuben Drones, Tatum Bell. I mean, the list goes on and on.
Griffin inside the 30 and tiptoes out of bounds at the 20.
And this isn't fair. It really isn't. We just talked about the effectiveness of the Mike Shanahan running game, his ability to put backs in position to gain yards. Here with the play fake, you just gouged him with Morris. And now look at the way they're collapsing in here. They have to. But again, it's one guy. If you're going to spike inside, then you've got to come to the outside and account for Robert Griffin III. They're not going to do this a lot. He's not going to keep it a lot. But if you make him, he will. And this guy can kill you with the athleticism and the speed he has when he gets outside the edge.
Morris run out of bounds at the 11-yard line. Redskins just chewing up the clock on the ground. And we send it to Kurt Menefee in Los Angeles.
Well, that other NFC East team playing today, the Dallas Cowboys, were down 13-0 at home at halftime to Cleveland, but they're clawing back. Felix Jones' 2-yard score pulls them to within a field goal early on at the end of the 4th quarter. Kyle and Brian.
Trent Williams here, you're going to see his ability starts to the outside, just envelops the end. And he's calling for, a flag right now. Trent Cole's thinking that didn't look quite legal to me.
That one did not fool the Eagles. Didn't know whether Griffin was going to hand it off or somebody went the wrong way, but that wasn't pretty. That'll bring up a third down after the loss of 7.
Well, either you're wrong or I'm wrong, one or the other. This is a heck of a fake. It really is. The problem was Morris went the other way. So I said tomato, you said tomato, and we'll get it figured out next week.
83 rushing yards for Griffin. He has the 4th most rushing yards in the 4th quarter among all players in the NFL. And stretching into the end zone is Paulson. All 6'5", 261 pounds of Logan Paulson. A 17-yard touchdown throw.
Watch the size and the presence of RG3 here. They're collapsing around him, stays strong in the pocket, delivers it right where it needed to be thrown on the outside shoulder, and all 270 pounds of Paulson. This is an undrafted free agent in 2010. This is a big old tight end that runs about a 4.5 40. Redskins love what they see in Paulson.
Going after good by Forbach. Andy Reid's Eagles are being run out of the gym in the nation's capital on this Sunday afternoon. All Redskins here today. What a day for Robert Griffin III. The Redskins offense have been so quiet. 25 points their last 2 games. They lost 3 in a row coming into this one, and now they're barring a disaster, going to win this game. The ball will be, is it down? Did it get out of the end zone? Huh. That was almost about as ugly as it gets. And Brian, almost apropos, it would bring us to what they're talking about and writing about in Philadelphia. Andy Reid, for 14 years, I think everybody would agree, has done an outstanding job with this Philadelphia Eagles team. 5 times they played in the NFC Championship. They played in a Super Bowl, although it has been 4 years since they won a playoff game. Already, the rumbling start. Is Andy Reid going to come back next year?
Well, and those rumblings are going to start in a season like this. You can intellectualize all you want about, well, they're without their starting quarterback. Their offensive line was in shambles. Things didn't turn out. And it continues to roll downhill. And believe me, I know what I'm talking about here because I've lived this. It's a tough position to be in. Andy Reid, I've made the point publicly and privately many times. You're not going to do better, get a better coach than Andy Reid. You're not. You can get a different coach possibly, and maybe that's what you need. That's for Mr. Lurie and the organization to decide, but you're not going to get a better coach than Andy Reid. But there's a life cycle. It's a living, breathing entity when you're a head coach in the National Football League. The time frame. Bill Walsh always felt like 10 years is about as far as you could go before the message, however you talk about it, holding on to the locker room. Andy Reid's been on top of the curve for a long, long time here in Philadelphia. But it does wear on you. I'm not sure if indeed that's what happens. It's not our place to advocate it one way or the other. Andy Reid's a friend, went to BYU as I did. If I were to advise Andy Reid, if that indeed does happen, get away for a while. Take a breather. Get your
So don't jump
recharged.
in another job, you're saying?
You know, it have to be the right, and he'll have plenty of opportunity. Make no mistake. That job offer will come the next day.
Yep.
But it's just a matter of, is it the right fit? You don't want to go into a bad situation, and Andy Reid knows that. He's one of the best coaches in this league ever, and he'll be just fine whatever course the Philadelphia Eagles decide to take.
Boy, Nick Foles, and that's going to be a personal foul, and that is just that's an ugly hit right there.
Personal foul,
Foles.
roughing the passer. Defense number 56, late knockdown. 15-yard penalty added to the end of the play.
I mean, he laid him out.
And you got to recognize the situation. Yes, this is a pass. That's a defenseless. We've seen this stunt before. You had time, as the league would advocate, and I would agree, to back off that. The hit was fine. You hit him low enough. It wasn't head-to-head. But the idea is, do you have that step and a half to redirect your hit, to not have to account for it, and it's going to cost him.
And, when you look at that replay, I'm sure Riley is saying the way he turned his back to me, I'm not even sure that he knew that Foles had gotten rid of the ball. Then on the very next play, it's Rob Jackson who sacks Foles from behind.
Yeah, and this is the time in the game when those defensive ends know they're not going to be a whole lot of running going on here. They love this. This is where you make your money. This is where you make those incentives coming off the edge here against King Dunlap. Dunlap gets bent over, turns his shoulder. The Cardinal sin for an offensive lineman. Couldn't have made it any easier for Rob Jackson.
I guess to tie a ribbon around the Andy Reid conversation, just to make sure everybody watching, and especially you Philadelphia fans, Brian, you're not saying it, I'm not saying it. Nobody is suggesting that Andy Reid is not going to keep his job. The point is, it is very much a hot topic right now in Philadelphia with what has happened, especially the last 2 years. And the fact that last year they were an 8-8 team. As a penalty flag comes down on the field, they have not won a playoff game.
Prior to the pass, holding, defense number 23, 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
I won a playoff game since 08. There's D'Angelo Hall, 23, whistled for the infraction.
Just a little grab of the jersey going out. Well, last year with Andy Reid, a lot of people speculating maybe the end of last year. But as is deserving of a coach as successful in Andy Reid, it was an organizational decision. We're going to come back. And here's why we're going to come back. We've got these many elements in place. Throw outside to Riley Cooper. And we'll finish this after we go to L.A. and see what they have going on the rest of the league.
Well, Brian, maybe the shocker of the day, Jacksonville at Houston. Chad Henne in for the injured Blaine Gabbert. 4 touchdown passes, including this 81-yarder to Justin Blackman. They lead at 34-20. Tom and Brian.
That is indeed a shocker.
His challenge, the pass was incomplete.
Yeah, clearly used the ball to trap it in. Enough movement there. Probably a good challenge. We'll see when we come back.
After you, the pass at the ground and is incomplete. It'll be 2nd and 10 on the 47-yard line. Please set the game clock to 8 minutes, 39 seconds. Washington is not charged with a timeout.
Well, to finish my thought about Andy Reid, at the end of last year, there was speculation there might be a change, but deserving of someone of his stature and success. Andy was a part of the process. He sat down with ownership. He sat down with then President Joe Banner and said, look, here are the circumstances. This is what we think we can do coming back. Here's the benchmark. And coming back this year, clearly this wasn't the benchmark, but unique to his situation, and I give the Eagles great credit for it. Andy was a part of the process. So obviously at the end of the season, it will be what it's going to be.
The problem with the whole Reid thing, I mean, multiple problems. Many feel like he hitched his wagon, perhaps his career in Philadelphia, to Michael Vick. Certainly there were major character issues there, although Vick has come back and has kept his nose clean and on the straight and narrow. You hire an offensive line coach to be your defensive coordinator, which he did with Juan Castillo prior to last year. And then during training camp, after sadly, of course, the tragic news of Reid losing his son.
False start. Offense number 25. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
It was shortly thereafter, and it was really a very uncomfortable situation, I'm sure, for Jeff Lurie, where Andy Reid's agent comes out and says, Jeff Lurie says that Andy Reid can be the coach as long as he wants. And Jeff Lurie shortly thereafter had to basically come out without really coming out and said, I never said that.
Yeah, well, Mr. Lurie, like any owner of the club, I applaud what Mr. Lurie did in terms of saying, look, here's the parameters going forward. Here's our expectations. And I'm not going to talk about it till the end of the season. Yep. I think it's always smart for an owner to not put himself in that position. There's going to be speculation, but the minute you then, even if it's the vote of confidence that we see so often, and we'll see somewhere between now and the next couple of weeks, some owner's going to give his coach the vote of confidence. All that does is then in future years, When you don't do that, it's okay. Well, wait a minute. Now, what are you saying? So they've gone about it in the right way, and they'll make, as they say, the appropriate analysis at the end of the season and go whatever direction they choose to go. But make no mistake, Andy Reid's as good a coach as has been in this league, and will have another opportunity.
So the Eagles will punt it away with 7:50 to go. That's from the 7-yard line. A good return of 13 yards up to the 20. Today has been Robert Griffin III. I mean, can you have a better day than he's had? Only one incompleted pass, and has thrown 4 touchdowns without an interception. And oh, by the way, he's rushed for 77 yards on 10 carries.
And the good part is they've caught it. That's a big part of it. When I had them a couple weeks ago against the Pittsburgh Steelers, that was part of the issue. They had 10 drops that game. 2 would have turned into touchdowns. I don't know if that had beaten the Pittsburgh Steelers, but you look at his numbers and say, okay, those are rookie-like numbers. Well, it doesn't take into account that he had 10 drops. Didn't have any drops today, leading to the 13 of 14 incompletions.
Alfred Moore is starting to pile up the yards, and he's all the way across the 41. That's a 20-yard gain by Morris. He is second only to Tampa Bay's Doug Martin among all rookie rushers in attempts, yards, and touchdowns.
Nice zone influence on the backside. Just brought Niles Paul all the way to the backside to build that inside zone that cut all the way back over the weak side. And look at the physicality of Morris. That's what they keep talking about when you talk about to the coaches, I should say, is that he carries his shoulders so well. He's a downhill runner that keeps you out of those second 13s, second and 14s, because even if it's second and 8, that's positive
Offense
yards.
number 10, 5-yard penalty, first down.
But this is the thing with the penalties. We've seen it all day long. I know Mike Shanahan, they come out of this as likely they will, up 31-6, and now they're sitting there at 4-6. They can feel pretty good about themselves because they can affect very directly, because of their schedule, what they're going to do the rest of the way. But forget the productivity and the drops. These penalties are going to kill you down the road if they continue to have these kind of mistakes.
Well, we brought up earlier, I mean, with all we've talked about the Eagles and Andy Reid and everything else going on, the Redskins are the most penalized team in the NFL, and that's saying something when you've got more penalties than the Oakland Raiders. That has not happened in virtually an eternity in the NFL. College football's biggest championship games return to Fox. Friday, November 30th, the Pac-12 title game. UCLA will be there. Will it be against Oregon or Stanford? Then December the 1st, the Big Ten title game. Wisconsin will be there and will battle either Nebraska or Michigan. Only on Fox, the Pac-12 championship in the Big Ten. The Washington Redskins working on a short week, coming off a bye, playing today. They will play Thanksgiving right here on Fox in Dallas.
And the thing they'll point to is they've got all these games in the division. They've got 4 more in the division. That's where they feel like they can have control of their fate, all but sitting here at 4-6 because they play those divisional games, not the least of which against the Cowboys, who just now are ahead of the Cleveland Browns.
The Redskins are still hurting from that loss to the Giants. That should have been a win. Throw and catch. Clock continues to run. And we check in with Kurt back in L.A.
Well, the Cleveland Browns once led at Dallas 13-0 at halftime, but the Cowboys have scored 17 unanswered. Tony Romo, Dez Bryant, 28 yards on the score and the lead. 17-13, Dallas in front. Just under 6 minutes left. Of course, Tom and Brian. It'll be the Redskins and Cowboys right here on Fox on Thanksgiving Day.
Well, if you make this at 4 now, right? Excuse me, wrong one. Put that at 4.
You have people yelling at you right
there. Yeah, I know. They're going, well, they're trying to steal it from us. And you know, people will make fun of it. They'll look at the Redskins and say 4-6. Who are you kidding? And there's only so many teams in the history of the league that, you know what, when you're at 4-6, you don't care. And when I'm looking up in New York, who's coming off a bye, is only 2 games ahead of me, and I've got all those games within the division, as do the Washington Redskins. You know, it is doable. Now it's a task now. After the Cowboys, Redskins got to play the Giants, then they got to play Baltimore. So it's an uphill task, don't get me wrong. But at 4-6, it's a whole lot better than the 3-7. As long as I'm in it, I'm not out of it.
Well, and they know the schedule that the New York Giants face. The Cowboys have the easiest schedule among all the teams in the NFC East. The Giants by far have the toughest. They're off this week. They're at home against Green Bay. They come here. They're at home against New Orleans and have back-to-back road games in Atlanta and up the road in Baltimore before closing out the year against Philadelphia. Green Bay, Atlanta, Baltimore.
I think the big game in the division is the New York Giants and the Dallas Cowboys, who both play New Orleans, because they're not only in the NFC East, they're in the NFC wild card division. There's going to be a lot of teams, including New Orleans, if they can continue on, that those head-to-head may be the difference makers. So those are the games, the 2 games I'm going to look at: New York versus New Orleans and Dallas versus New Orleans, assuming the others kind of go whichever way they're going to go. It's going to be a factor here because the NFC is not as strong in years past. Somebody's going to win the division, but where you might have thought the wild card might not come out of it might very well, particularly if New York and Dallas can sweep the New Orleans Saints.
24, right? Right. Sit up. 60, 59. 180. 180.
Evan Royster has come into the game for the first time, and that's his first carry. We are down to 3:46. Philadelphia will spend a timeout. Today's game being produced by Bob Stenner, directed by Artie Kempner. His entire family with him in town. Our technical producer is Bob Mueller, our technical director John Howard, and our audio mixer Mr. Jeff Cohen. Associate directors Wayne Wilson, Yvonne Wagner. Our broadcast associate Jordan Wolf. Almost to thank up here in the booth our spotter Scott Snyder. Stats crew headed up by Tom Barbary and Bill Harmon. Eric Norton, Mike Eldridge down in the truck. And we thank the entire Billick clan, most notably your bride Kim, for a lovely dinner out at your nearby home last night.
I was very impressed with who we brought in to do the dishes, Mr. Tom Brennan.
Well, you know what? When a family invites you into their home and you eat the way we ate, drank the way we drank, hung out, had a great time, the least you can do are the dishes.
You did that for one reason, because now for the next 6 months I got to hear from my wife, well, did you see Tom do the dishes when he was here? I know you. I know what your motivations were.
Some might say that's an Eddie Haskell move.
That was. You've been referred to there before. Well, this certainly isn't where Nick Foles wants to be, but part of the equation that we're talking about for the Eagles going forward is they need to find out if this young man is the guy they want to be their quarterback going down the future.
That's the other part of this whole thing, Brian, when you're looking at Michael Vick and all the concussion symptoms that Laura reported upon earlier. He's not even able to drive his car. He did not make the trip down here to D.C. with a team. And, you know, if he's able to come back, do you put this team back in his hands, or are you going to get a look at Foles the rest of the year?
Or do you need to go whatever direction is available to you, whether it be the draft, free agency, whatever? Every team, you know, in this league, it's real simple. You either have a quarterback or you don't. And if you don't, you better be in the process of getting one. So as we go down the way for the Philadelphia Eagles between now and the end of the season, this is not only Nick Foles in the quarterback position, a lot of positions, but no more important than the quarterback position. What do we have in this young man? Is this something we can saddle up to be our guy going down years to come?
Stay tuned. Following our game for the Pepsi postgame show right here on Fox. Up to the 25-yard line. As we are now under 3 minutes. Eagles on their way to losing their 6th consecutive game. The Redskins will halt a 3-game skid of their own.
On the other side, and again, Mike Shanahan has received his fair share of criticism as well. A little bit different circumstance right now. They know who their quarterback is, their franchise guy going forward. They're a team that had high expectations, got decimated defensively. They were thought of as maybe a top 10 defense. But then you talked about it, the injuries, not the least of which Brian Arakpo. We just got Merriweather back, the suspension of Tanar Jackson. This is a team that has a good enough base. We've seen the running attack. What we say, a good offensive line. Probably could add to the receiving corps. But Mike Shanahan, one of the best coaches in this league, a 2-time Super Bowl champion, he's got his quarterback in place. He caught a little heat a couple weeks ago after an emotional loss to Carolina, intimating that maybe they were just going to evaluate talent the rest of the way. He tried to clear it up, saying, no, we're going to evaluate our guys as they make a playoff run, because every game is basically a playoff game. Okay, I'll take that at face value. But a little bit different situation for them, what their future looks like. And they are going to find out about this team a little bit between now and then. I don't know if it will yield anything this year, but it's going to have residual effect in terms of when they start in 2013 with their quarterback position set, whatever additions they're going to make. This could be a pretty good football team going forward.
Foles has had to run for his life all day long. Just threw that one into traffic, and Selleck hangs on as Foles gets off the mat again. And Selleck shaken up. Brent Selleck has never missed a game since he was a 5th-round pick back in '07 out of the University of Cincinnati. And you know he has taken plenty of hits through the years.
And has a big part in Mike Vick, and as did Nick Foles, mentioned that, you know, any quarterback, if you're a good quarterback, you usually have a pretty good tight end. You have the ability to get it to go-to guy in critical situations. Certainly Brent Selleck has been that for years, been a 70-plus catch guy, kind of on pace this year to do the same. They thought that was a priority. Now go back to what we were talking about. If this thing goes to 4-6, that means 2 games behind New York. Dallas is currently leading in the 4th quarter. 2 minutes left to go against Cleveland. And is on a short week, as we said, going to take on these Washington Redskins.
1:58 to go. 31-6, Washington Redskins in front. (31-6), Redskins in front, and the Eagles just content to hand it off. And of course, as soon as you do that, much like the end of the first half, when they were trying to run out the clock and LaShawn McCoy fumbled the ball, now he gets hit so hard that visibly shaken up and has not gotten up.
There were just a lot of folks hitting him at the same time.
Looked like Medea Williams, a shoulder right to the head.
Can't dunk your head.
That might have been helmet on helmet.
Williams is lucky he's not hurt. It's always been obviously a basic tenet. See what you hit to stay safe.
And Medea Williams still standing and waiting for the next play. Let's send it back to Kurt Menefee.
Well, the Green Bay Packers have taken a lead late at Detroit. Aaron Rodgers hooking up with Randall Cobb. Nice. 22 yards on the score. They lead at 21-20 inside of 2 minutes left. Tom and Brian, time permitting, when your game is done, we'll take your audience to the conclusion of that game.
Already roughly about the same amount of time left as McCoy is still down for the Eagles. I'll tell you the one team that has really hurt themselves conceivably today, Brian, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're down 21-10 in the 4th quarter. They had the ball at the 1-yard line with a chance to take the lead. Fumbled the ball, and Carolina has just scored again to go up 21-10. That would have put Tampa Bay at 6-4 winning that game today.
Yeah. Got them next week against Atlanta. They've been playing well up to this point.
Stay tuned. Following the game, it'll be the Pepsi postgame show. Well, you don't like to see this. Any player on any team. I mean, McCoy clearly shaken up after that big hit by Williams.
Good thing he's sitting up and they're dealing with him there.
Well, they brought a car down to the field to take off LaShawn McCoy. That's scary stuff. Just that look on his face and the look in his eyes as he was driven into the Philadelphia locker room. Third down pass knocked down by Josh Wilson. Floor open.
It's LaShawn right now, Tom, but also Brett Selleck. We saw that hit he took last time they were out in the field. He's being evaluated right now for a head injury.
Had 3 quarterbacks go down, of course, last week. Those are the guys that get all the pub. A guy like McCoy will, a guy like Selleck will too, but all the others. And that is very much on the forefront in terms of major issues in the NFL before the year began and right up to this very weekend. Free play for the Eagles.
Offside, defense number 97. 5-yard penalty, first down.
It's Lorenzo Alexander. 8 years ago, he entered the league as a 6'1", 300-pound defensive end. All the way now down to 244 pounds. Has played 8 different positions on both sides of the football.
And we saw when London Fletcher went down, they put the communicator on him. This guy's doing a lot of things. The more you can do in this league, it lasts a long time when you do as many things as Lorenzo Alexander does now.
Well, the only positions he has not played would be catcher and pitcher. That one is incomplete. Robert Griffin III, 4 touchdown passes, a new career high. It's the second week in a row we've had a quarterback with a career high in touchdown passes. Saw Andy Dalton throw 4 in the win last weekend over the Giants.
So it must be us.
Must be. Somebody's going to have a good weekend next weekend.
Just if you could pick which.
I think Matt Ryan's thrown 4 touchdowns in a career, has he not, in a game?
I'm sure he has. If not, he's about to.
Probably good. And that is a first down. Clock continues to run. Josh Wilson hurt. Ryan, take us through a team, and you've played games on Thanksgiving Day. You know, your normal work week would look like one way. But what about now? I mean, there can't be an off day, can there, even after a game today between now and then by the time your team leaves to go play on Thursday, you leave on Wednesday?
Well, the good thing is everybody knows now because of the Thursday night game schedule we have. Everybody's used to it. You want to give them a day off. You'll bring them in. You're not going to even look at the game film from Sunday. They might want to take a peek at that themselves. Coaches are busy all day on Monday. You basically have 1 day of preparation. That's Tuesday. And it's nothing more than a walkthrough. Wednesday's just to brush up, and particularly if you've got to travel. And then Thursday's the game. My wife always used to get on me saying, well, wait a minute, you can do this all by Thursday? Well, yes, ma'am, we can. We have to. The game's on Thursday. Well, then what do you do the rest of the
legitimate question.
What do you do on Friday, on Saturday? Why don't you do the same routine and then take Friday and Saturday off and play the game? And I don't have a better answer for it.
That is a legitimate question.
But you just make it happen. The Thursday night games are what they are, and everybody's used to it now. Everybody knows that routine. As Mike Shanahan said, they actually spent 2 days of their bye week getting ready for the preparation for this short week that they have this week against the Dallas Cowboys.
Foles gets it away, incomplete. 4th down upcoming, 45 seconds left. Foles has thrown it 45 times in the game. 21 of 45, 204 yards, 2 interceptions. They happened on 2 of the first, well, the first 2 Philadelphia possessions of the game.
Well, and stats only say so much, but if you'd have told me before the game that your first time rookie starter is going to throw the ball 45 times, I'd bet $1 to donuts. Well, then you're going to lose. You know, you don't want that guy throwing the ball 45 times. We came on air talking about maybe 20, 25 times run the ball well compared to Robert Griffith III, who only threw it 14 times, Tom, but he completed 13 of them, and he's got 4 touchdowns. That's the ratio you're looking for.
Well, that will officially wrap this one up, although it has not been in doubt for a long, long time. So Andy Reid and the Eagles with the rookie Nick Foles as the starter. Andy, I'm sure some
teaching to the
teaching
end.
words here.
Teaching to the end.
Foles. The Eagles have owned the Redskins of late. 17-9 under Andy Reid. And winners of 10 of their last 13 until today. Robert Griffin III, a career high 4 touchdown passes. 31-6 will be the final score here at FedEx Field. End of a 3-game losing streak for the Redskins. The losing streak for Andy Reid's Eagles now stands at 6. We'll be back in a moment.